Alfonso Cajero, A Journey into Finance History. Chapter 89, Boom in Clean Energy Investment, 2010s-2020s. Transition towards renewable energy sources gains momentum. In the early 2010s, the world began to confront the escalating threat of climate change with renewed urgency. Scientific consensus on the detrimental impact of greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels grew stronger, prompting a global shift towards sustainable energy solutions. Governments, environmental organizations, and forward-thinking businesses recognized the need to reduce dependence on finite fossil fuel resources and transition towards renewable energy sources. The decade began with stark reminders of the environmental consequences of fossil fuel consumption. Extreme weather events, melting polar ice caps, and rising global temperatures highlighted the imperative for decisive action. International agreements and scientific reports underscored the need to limit global warming to avoid catastrophic climate impacts. This mounting pressure set the stage for a paradigm shift in global energy policies and investment strategies. In response to these challenges, governments worldwide initiated ambitious clean energy initiatives. The European Union set aggressive targets for renewable energy adoption, aiming to derive at least 20% of its energy from renewable sources by 2020. The United States launched the Clean Power Plan to reduce carbon emissions from power plants, emphasizing the importance of transitioning to cleaner energy technologies. Simultaneously, technological advancements in renewable energy began to gain traction. Solar photovoltaic (PV) technology saw significant improvements in efficiency and cost-effectiveness, making solar power increasingly competitive with traditional fossil fuel-based electricity generation. Innovations in wind turbine design and offshore wind farm technology expanded the geographical reach and capacity of wind energy projects, particularly in coastal regions and windy plains. Public awareness and support for clean energy initiatives grew as communities witnessed the benefits of renewable energy firsthand. Solar panels on residential rooftops and community-owned wind farms became symbols of local efforts to combat climate change and reduce energy costs. Grassroots movements advocating for renewable energy policies gained momentum, influencing local and national political agendas. The seeds of change planted in the early 2010s laid the foundation for a global clean energy revolution. The transition towards renewable energy sources gained momentum as governments, businesses, and communities embraced sustainable energy solutions. The stage was set for a decade of unprecedented growth and innovation in the clean energy sector, marking a pivotal moment in the history of global energy transition. Solar energy emerged as a frontrunner in the renewable energy revolution of the 2010s. Advances in solar PV technology and manufacturing processes drove down the cost of solar panels, making solar power increasingly accessible and economically viable on a large scale. Countries with abundant sunlight and supportive policies such as China, the United States, and India led the global expansion of solar energy capacity. The plummeting cost of solar panels transformed the economics of solar energy deployment. Utility-scale solar farms and rooftop solar installations proliferated as governments incentivized solar investments through feed-in tariffs, tax credits, and renewable energy mandates. Solar power became a cornerstone of efforts to diversify energy sources, reduce carbon emissions, and enhance energy security. China emerged as a dominant player in the global solar industry, leveraging economies of scale to become the world's largest producer of solar panels. The Chinese government's ambitious solar energy targets and substantial investments in manufacturing infrastructure catapulted the country to the forefront of solar PV technology development. Chinese solar manufacturers capitalized on economies of scale and technological innovation to drive down global solar panel prices, making solar power more affordable and accessible worldwide. In the United States, the Solar Investment Tax Credit (ITC) played a pivotal role in accelerating solar energy adoption. The federal tax credit provided financial incentives for residential, commercial, and utility-scale solar projects, spurring investment in solar installations across the country. States like California and Texas led the nation in solar capacity additions, harnessing their abundant sunshine and progressive energy policies to bolster their renewable energy portfolios. India experienced a solar energy boom, driven by ambitious renewable energy targets and favorable government policies. The Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission aimed to deploy $100 GW of solar power capacity by 2022, positioning India as a global leader in solar energy expansion. The Indian government's efforts to streamline regulatory approvals, facilitate land acquisition, and attract foreign investment catalyzed rapid growth in the country's solar industry. Rooftop solar became increasingly popular among homeowners, businesses, and institutions, seeking to reduce electricity bills and lower their carbon footprint. Solar leasing programs and third-party financing models made solar installations more affordable and accessible, enabling consumers to benefit from clean, renewable energy without the upfront costs of purchasing solar panels. Community solar projects empowered communities to collectively invest in shared solar installations, democratizing access to solar energy benefits. The rise of solar power in the 2010s marked a transformative shift towards renewable energy sources worldwide. Technological advancements, supportive policies, and declining costs propelled solar energy to the forefront of the global energy transition. As solar power continued to gain momentum, its role in shaping a sustainable energy future became increasingly evident, setting the stage for further innovation and expansion in the clean energy sector. Wind energy emerged as a key pillar of the global transition to renewable energy in the 2010s. Harnessing the power of wind to generate electricity offered a sustainable alternative to fossil fuels and contributed to efforts to mitigate climate change. Advances in wind turbine technology, offshore wind farm development, and supportive government policies fueled the rapid growth of wind energy capacity worldwide. Onshore wind farms became a familiar sight in countries with favorable wind resources, such as the United States, Germany, and China. Technological innovations in wind turbine design, including taller towers and larger rotor diameters, improved energy capture efficiency and reduced the cost of wind energy generation. Economies of scale and manufacturing advancements further drove down the cost of wind power, making it increasingly competitive with conventional fossil fuel-based electricity generation. Offshore wind emerged as a game-changer in the wind energy sector, harnessing strong and consistent ocean winds to produce clean electricity. Countries with extensive coastlines and shallow waters, such as the United Kingdom, Denmark, and the Netherlands, pioneered the development of offshore wind farms. Offshore wind projects benefited from higher wind speeds and fewer land use conflicts compared to onshore installations, offering significant potential for large-scale renewable energy deployment. The United Kingdom emerged as a global leader in offshore wind development, with ambitious plans to expand its offshore wind capacity to meet clean energy targets. The construction of large-scale wind farms in the North Sea and other coastal areas demonstrated the technical feasibility and economic viability of offshore wind power. The UK government's support for offshore wind through financial incentives, regulatory frameworks, and auction schemes accelerated investment in the sector, attracting international developers and investors. Denmark also played a pivotal role in advancing offshore wind technology and deployment. The country's long-standing commitment to renewable energy and climate action drove significant investments in offshore wind farms in the North Sea and Baltic Sea. Danish companies specialized in offshore wind turbine manufacturing and installation, exporting their expertise and technology to global markets. Denmark's offshore wind industry created jobs, spurred economic growth, and positioned the country as a leader in sustainable energy solutions. China emerged as a formidable force in the global wind energy market, rapidly expanding its onshore and offshore wind capacity. The Chinese government's renewable energy targets and supportive policies incentivize the development of wind power projects across the country. China's wind turbine manufacturers, bolstered by domestic demand and export opportunities, became key players in the global supply chain, driving down costs and accelerating technological innovation in the wind energy sector.